All right, welcome back, everyone. If you made it through the tools video, you're now ready to actually create a React or Next.js project. But what does that even mean? What is React? What is Next.js? Let's do a quick overview. So React is a framework. Well, actually, it's not a framework. It's a library for web and native user interfaces. It's sometimes called a framework, but it's not. So if you see a quiz question that asks you if it's a framework, the answer is false. Uh, it's a library, a JavaScript library, essentially. It lets you build websites, web apps um, in this language called JSX, which is a mixture of JavaScript and HTML. So you see this kind of weird JavaScript function that also has HTML elements in it. And it's an interesting way to do it. It's much more comfortable than working with plain JavaScript to create HTML elements. So this is what it looks like. And now if I go to actually deploying the React app, well, if you search for it, you might see this right here. This used to be the most popular React framework. So we need to choose a framework to use along with the library. This is called Create React App. It's deprecated. It's not it's not supported anymore. It's been sunset. It's not going to be worked on anymore as of February 14th, 2025. So we're not going to be using that framework either. So which framework are we actually going to be using? Well, this is a list of the full stack frameworks that are recommended at the time that I'm making this video in 2025. Hopefully it's this way for a while. The top one is Next.js. And this is the one we're actually going to be using. And you can see some differences in all these. Expo's great for working on mobile apps. There's a lot of different frameworks we could be using. However, we're going to use Next, popular framework. It's maintained by Vercel. This is not the last you're going to hear of Vercel. Vercel is also going to allow us to deploy our applications and all kinds of other fun stuff. And because it's 2025, every website has to say AI somewhere. So, but we're not going to be relying on AI tools, hopefully. We will, man, it's all over the page. I feel like that's just, holy cow. They just had to add an AI to everything, deploy AI in seconds. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. So Vercel is going to be the tool we're going to be using to deploy our next JS applications. It's also got some other integrations that are going to be really helpful for us. So Next.js is a product of Vercel. It's extremely popular. That's the main takeaway. So how do we create a Next.js app? Well, it's very simple. We just have the command here. So I'm going to copy this command, go back over here. Now, we don't want to create a new folder for this project or this exploration. We instead just want to run this command, create next app at latest. And when we run that, it's going to ask us to make a project name. If you're following along, we'll just call this exploration 1. This is our first exploration project. Sometimes they'll go link across videos. This will be our first one. So exploration 1 will be the project name. Would you like to use TypeScript? What is TypeScript? So TypeScript is actually a wrapper for JavaScript. It helps make JavaScript a more strongly typed language. And we 100% want to use TypeScript for this class. So no question there, we're using TypeScript. And that is a requirement for this class. So yes on TypeScript. ESLint, this is why we're using VS Code or IDE, because ESLint will give us sort of errors and warnings and stuff related to TypeScript. So ESLint is very helpful for basically taking advantage of what TypeScript is offering. Tailwind CSS. So for now, we're going to say no to this. We might get some work in with this, but we'll leave it as no for now. would you like your code inside a source directory? I like to use a source directory. Doesn't matter either way, but we're going to use a source directory for this class. Would you like to use the app router? Now, we're going to learn a lot about the app router in this class. Next.js originally had something called a pages router. It's still supported, but then they upgraded to this app router. Now, a lot of projects will use one or the other, or even mix the two. However, the app router is recommended, and I think it's more powerful and easier to work with, so we will be using the app router. When you're searching through the documentation, often you'll see documentation designed for the pages router, and you'll have to find the app router version of that. TurboPack, sure. I don't 100% understand what the TurboPack does. It's supposed to help with the speed of deployment, I believe. Just leave it on. I don't notice it hurting anything. Do we want to customize the import alias? No. We're going to leave the import alias how it is. And now it's creating our project. Let's give it a minute. It's pulling everything from online to create this project for us. This is how easy Node is to work with. npx was a different command. It's still Node Package Manager, but npx is more for, I think, the initial creation of a project. All right, so now we see we have an exploration1 folder here. So I am going to open that folder up. Now you can just like cd into it and work in here. I like to reopen VS Code in a new window so that I don't get mixed up with my other project files and stuff. So we're going to reopen code. We're going to reopen our VS Code. And now the top level directory is exploration1. Open our terminal up. Now you'll notice also that Git is not in here, except for git ignore. There's no .git folder. There is a .git folder here, but there's no .git folder here. If you have a Next.js project created inside of an existing repository, it will leave off the .git folder, which is good. You don't want .git folders nested inside of other .git folders. So it's good. You shouldn't see a .git folder here. If you do, you might have to delete it. You do want to leave the git ignore because we are going to ignore things like the node modules. Node modules take a lot of space and they don't need to be pushed to your repository. We have a lot of things here. Package.json is the key for Node.js files. It has all the instructions for running it. And we have our source files here because we created that source folder. Because we're using the app router, the default thing is called app. And if we want to run our web page, we can type npm run dev. And you see that it actually runs it locally at localhost 3000. I'm going to control click that. And it actually opens it in a new Firefox window. And this is the default, what the default looks like. The default page. So if we want to change something in here, we're going to get into this in the future. But page TSX is sort of like our index.html. So let's say I don't want this image to be here anymore. I can take this image out. You'll learn about this image in the future. Now, when I make a save, as long as it's running, it will actually hot reload automatically. So this disappeared here. Okay, so we can make changes here as well. All right, and stuff changes over here because we're making changes to the HTML code. Now, when I'm starting a new project, I like to sort of clean the project. And this is how I clean the project. So I'm going to take out the image from next image. I'm going to delete everything from inside of here. And I'm going to comment this out. I might be using this in the future, and I'm going to delete this class name here. And then let's put a placeholder in here, my exploration. Okay, whatever. All right. Now we have a module CSS. This is CSS that applies specifically to our page. I'm going to take that out as well, save. And we're almost done. The next thing we need to do is actually go to layout.tsx. And this is an overarching thing that handles our metadata. It handles fonts. It handles the HTML tags. It sets up the initial body tags. And then the children are the pages that get passed in. So if we have other pages, they will automatically be updated here based on their route in our project here. So let's clean this up as well. I don't want this font here. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to comment the global CSS out. And then let's change our metadata. Exploration 1. My first Next.js project. Yay! Maybe it's not your first, and you can put some other description. I'm going to clean out the body here and save that. And then I'm going to go into here, delete all this, save again. Now, what this does is now this is just default HTML. You can see it's that terrible Times New Roman font. You can also see that the title of the page has changed to align with the metadata here. If we inspect, we can see in the head, there is a bunch of stuff related to Next.js, but there's also the title somewhere in here. Should be in style. I'm just missing it. Let's try view page source. Sometimes it does weird stuff. Okay. Puts it all in a single line here. Oh, interesting. Okay. It's got some stuff in the code that actually pushes it as the title and as the metadata. Yeah, the content as well. That's very odd. I think that's changed because it used to just show up here in this. Okay, anyway, it updates the metadata for our page, and this is a very basic Next.js project. So what you're going to do for this assignment is get your cleaned out project, and you're going to add that to your repository. Now, to add that to your repository, you actually need to go back to the CS494 folder, and we can just add everything. So let's do it in the command line this time. Git add all, git commit /-m, added exploration 1, git push, and we'll go back to our repository, which I apparently closed. Hold on, my repositories. Yeah, I have a lot shared with me. Okay, hold on, sorry. There it is. I don't know why I can't just see mine. All right, exploration 1 was just added. All the files were added. So whenever I ask you to submit something for an exploration, I just want you to submit a link to the to your main CS494 repository, and then I can look at everything there. Sometimes I'll ask for screenshots as well if needed, but usually I'll just be able to look over your code and figure out what's going on there. All right, so that's our first Next.js project.